Impacts of developmental project. Development of a nation is usually indicated by the growth, progress, and positive changes in the physical, economical, social, environmental, and demographical components. As a country develops, the quality of life of its population increases. It leads to a creation and expansion of local income and employment opportunities without damaging the resources of the environment. Development is sometimes considered as the sum of natural resources spread subsequently to other parts of the world had transformed the economics of nations. The industrial and economic growth was entailed by the uncontrolled consumption of natural resources, increased population, global warming, and climate changes, and the damage to environment and ecosystem. The idea of sustainability and sustainable development became a common agenda among the nations. In 1983, the Brundtland Commission was formed by the United Nations to contemplate on the ways of conserve environment. Construction of dams and hydroelectric projects. Construction of big dams for irrigation, drinking water, or hydropower across rivers has been considered as a boon by the pro-development activists. However, the other side of this developmental process is often overlooked. Now, it is aware that the construction of very big dams for whatever purpose has its own diverse environmental implications. Hydrological and geological problems. The rapid and frequent fluctuation of water level of the river and therefore of water table underground would produce drastic alteration in the pore water pressure and consequently promote and precipitate landslide and related mass movement on extensive scale, particularly in the zone of active faults and thrust. The quicker pace of erosion in the catchment area leads to larger loads of sediments in the river and greater accumulation in the reservoir. Leads biological implications. The sudden conversion of a lactic habitat into a lentic one may affect the flora and fauna associated with the river system. Animals and plants that have long been updated to running water habitat are exposed to stagnant water, posing the concomitant problems. Plants and animals in the downstream suffer extreme depression of the aquatic medium. Deforestation in the sites of construction and more extensively in the catchment areas bring in the series of changes that leads to serious environmental degradation. Many people of these changes would tell upon the river community. Silting, for example, is disastrous for animals that require clean medium and substrates. Water. Reservoir included seismicity. Lake filling has been known to cause mounting pressure on the accumulated sediments and generate new stress underground, promoting seismic movement on faults, particularly the active ones. It is noticed that the stresses build up to the peak slowly over several years after the initiate of the lake filling, and then there is a sudden failure of the ground, releasing stresses in the form of earthquake. Analysis of seismic data from a number of reservoir sites all over the world has established beyond doubt that seismicity is induced or increased soon after the impounding of water in high dams. even in the essential seismic areas such as Koina in Maharashtra. Advantages of small dams over big dams. Construction of a small dam involves less investment and therefore can be undertaken by the local bodies or non governmental agencies. Small dams create less ecological problems than the big dams. Benefits from small dams can be harnessed by local communities better than that from big dams. Construction of thermal power plant. Thermal power plant generate electrical energy using thermal energy derived from burning fuels such as coal, lignite, naphtha, diesel, and from nuclear fission reactions act on air. Thermal power plant has known to pump out a lot greenhouse gases and ash, which are byproducts of burning the fossil fuels. Out of all the gases released from the thermal power plant, carbon dioxide is the main one, and thermal power plant are one of the main contributors to increase carbon dioxide level throughout the world. Another major constitution, SO2, has been a cause of acid precipitation, commonly known as acid rain, which can damage vegetation and acidify lakes. Species vulnerable to acidic conditions have trouble reproducing and in some cases die. Impact on water systems. Power plant use huge amount of water and most of this is taken from rivers, lakes, groundwater aquifers and municipal water sources. During the plant operation, cooling towers are used to condense the steam and water used in these cooling towers get heated up. Water discharged from the plants will be alterated by the addition of heat, acids or salts. Water from power plant are mostly discharged into nearby lakes, rivers or sea. This can adversely affect the quality of water in these natural water resources. Many power plants use once through nuclear power plants. A nuclear power plant is a thermal power station in which heat is nuclear fission reactions taking place in nuclear reaction. It is a generally accepted argument that nuclear power plants offer clean energy compared to fossil fuel based thermal power plants. Although nuclear fission reactions do not directly release greenhouse gases or ash, nuclear power plants also affect the environment in variety of effects. Thermal pollution is a major impact of both nuclear and fossil fuel plants. The water of cooling towers is to cool down the steam is taken from the nearby water sources and the hot water from the condenser are released back into lakes, river or ocean. The process of water is that heat up to produce steam and power the turbine is recycled and not released to the environment. So the radioactive pollution through water is avoided, but the